this is New Time on Silkway TV channel. We introduce you with the most visible news and important events that happened throughout this week in Kazakhstan and Central Asia. More details on politics, economy, social and cultural life with opinions from the most recognizable experts of Kazakhstan and world. I'm Dorian Isagulov, and this is what you'll see today. Donald Trump met with Emmanuel Macron to discuss prospects for peace in Ukraine, followed by talks with President Zelensky. But how soon could the war end and on what terms? Friedrich Merz emerged as a potential candidate for Germany's next chancellor, while the far right makes historic gains in the Bundestag. A look at the election results. The prestigious Cardiff University is opening a branch in Kazakhstan. What does this expansion mean for the British institution? An exclusive interview with the university's president. And let's kick off with the latest news from Akorda. This Wednesday, President Tokayev chaired a meeting of the Security Council. The main topic of discussion was the modernization of Kazakhstan's military and enhancing its infrastructure. Kassym-Jomart Tokayev provided clear directives for strengthening the armed forces. In related news, the Ministry of Defense has now taken over several responsibilities from the Ministry of Industry and Infrastructure Development, including overseeing the implementation of the State Defense Order. And in international news, President Tokayev congratulated Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan on his birthday during a phone call. The head of state wished him continued success in his important work for the Turkish people. The two leaders also took the opportunity to discuss the strong and growing partnership between Kazakhstan and Turkey, focusing on future efforts to further strengthen bilateral relations. The US President Donald Trump and Russia's Vladimir Putin have plans to meet in Saudi Arabia and follow with mutual state visits. After phone conversation with both Vladimir Putin and Vladimir Zelensky, President Trump said that, quote, "We're on the way to getting peace in Ukraine." Leaders from around the globe and also from Europe are now discussing about end to the fighting after these calls too. New Time reporter Baljan Samigulina talked to historian and political analyst Sultan Akimbekov on latest update.
Donald Trump didn't end the war in Ukraine as quickly as he promised on the campaign trail within 76 hours' time. But US President, as expert noticed, swiftly moved the needle on the conflict.
We had a very good talk with, people didn't really know what President Putin's thoughts were, but I think I can say with great confidence he wants to see it ended also. That's good.
Yes, I was briefed on the talks. I rate them highly. There is a result. We have, in my opinion, taken the first step towards resuming work on the very different areas of mutual interest.
Since the war began on February 24 in 2022, it is estimated that Ukraine has lost nearly 20% of its territory, with Russia gaining over 4,000 square kilometers last year alone. The human toll has been staggering, with the UN reporting 12.5 thousand deaths and 3.7 million displaced. An estimated 45,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been killed and 390,000 wounded. Russia has suffered over 750,000 casualties, including 172,000 soldiers killed. Russia has also lost nearly 10,000 tanks and twice as many infantry fighting vehicles, 370 aircraft, and significant naval sets, including 28 vessels in the Black Sea. Analysts said both sides were already worn down by the time Donald Trump returned to the White House. Now, as the inch closer to negotiations, experts warn that one side will ultimately have to make major compromises to make forward, said Kazakh historian and political analyst Sultan Akimbekov.
Trump is in a tough spot, having made promises he can't fully deliver. Agreeing to all of Russia's demand could spark major opposition in the US and fuel resistance. It's clear that both sides will have to make concessions. With Russia showing a more favorable stance toward Trump, they too seem eager to end the war. However, given that Russia is currently being quite complimentary towards Trump, it's clear that they too want to bring this issue to a close. This shows how both sides are exhausted by the ongoing conflict.
Upcoming negotiations will exclude European and Ukrainian parties, which experts say signals the biggest divide in transatlantic relations since World War II. The UK has offered to send troops to Ukraine to help guarantee peace, with NATO remaining a major point of contention. The US commitment to the NATO alliance, and a cornerstone of European security for 8 decades, appears to be weakening too, experts state. The US is pressing European nations to contribute more to both their own militaries and the alliance. During a visit to Washington, D.C., French President Macron emphasized that the UN peacekeeping force in Ukraine is nearly essential. Europeans are cautious about how the US will approach peace talks. One consensus is that both Europe and Ukraine must have a central role in negotiations, not sidelines by Washington. Europe seeks US security guarantees, particularly if European troops monitor peace. Despite economic pressures, Europe confirms that it must increase defense spending and NATO contributions. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte confirmed numbers are working toward 2% of GDP for defense. However, Trump demands 5%, a request rejected by Germany and other European nations. Experts say this will force Europe to reassess its defense priorities.
Trump has been labeled pro-Russian, but in reality, he's just pro-Trump. He can't afford to lose, especially not after the fallout from Afghanistan. If Ukraine loses and US support is cut, Trump risks being seen like Biden after leaving Afghanistan, something he wants to avoid. He has leverage, like offering to lift sanctions, but he's constrained by Europe's position. Since most sanctions are European and Russia's key market are in Europe, lifting only US sanctions wouldn't have much impact. Even if Trump takes action, his options are limited, especially on territorial issues that Ukraine will never accept.
As the war entered its 4th year, its global impact has been staggering. The World Economic Forum estimated a $2.8 trillion loss to the global economy, with Ukraine needing over $500 billion to recover. Food experts have slowed, driving up global food prices, while Europe faces rising fuel and gas costs as Russian exports decline.
The war must come to an end. We can see the conditions for resolution in place. Trump has entered a situation where the issue is overdue for a solution. A Korean scenario freeze seems the most logical way forward. Both sides are exhausted and a compromise is inevitable. Trump is needed because he can take steps that others cannot, helping broker an agreement despite deep contradictions. The biggest challenge will be how to formalize the deal.
There are distant differences between the participating parties, but as experts notice, that's what negotiations are made for. This is the 3rd anniversary of the Russia-Ukraine war, and everyone is hoping it's the last. Baljan Samigulina, New Time.
US President Donald Trump has stated that work on peace agreement to end the war in Ukraine is moving at a fast pace. His comments came during a meeting at the White House with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Thursday. Starmer traveled to Washington to discuss a possible end to the war and security guarantees for Ukraine. He expressed his commitment to working closely with the United States to secure a good deal and praised Trump for creating major opportunities for achieving peace. However, he emphasized that any agreement must be fair. During the talks, Starmer announced that the UK is ready to deploy troops to Ukraine as part of the peacekeeping mission. He stressed that European peacekeeping forces could help ensure Ukraine's security, but made it clear that such a plan can only succeed with US support.
We've discussed a plan today to reach a peace that is tough and fair, that Ukraine will help shape, that's backed by strength, to stop Putin coming back for more. And I'm clear that the UK is ready to put boots on the ground and planes in the air to support a deal, working together with our allies, because that is the only way that peace will last.
President of Ukraine Vladimir Zelensky arrived in Washington on Friday for talks with Donald Trump, where they are expected to sign a controversial agreement on natural resources, including rare earth metals. Despite heated exchanges between the two leaders, a compromise appears to have been reached. Earlier media reports indicated that the revised deal no longer includes a clause granting the US full control over the fund managing Ukraine's natural resource revenues. However, the agreement lacks clear security guarantees for Ukraine. In 2024, OpenAI, a US company specializing in artificial intelligence, stopped more than 20 attempts to interfere in elections worldwide using ChatGPT. This surge is not surprising. The media has called 2024 the mother of all election years, with more than 60 countries holding elections and around 4 billion people eligible to vote. Since AI became an integral part of our lives, it has been described as a double-edged sword, capable of opening new frontiers, but also posing significant risks, particularly in spreading disinformation. How vulnerable is the political sphere to AI's influence? And who will shape the most crucial political decisions, humans or AI? Let's take a closer look in our next report. In 2023, at the start of the US presidential race between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, the Republican National Committee's YouTube page featured a video created by AI. It depicted a dystopian future showing what could supposedly happen if Joe Biden were re-elected. The images were dramatic: explosions in Taiwan, thousands of migrants crossing the US border, and San Francisco overrun by crime. And this was far from the only example of AI being used in an election campaign.
In the Czech Republic, we saw a day before the vote, we saw a situation where there was a deepfake audio released claiming to suggest that one of the leading politicians who was polling really well, that basically his party were taking bribes from big companies. That dropped literally 24 hours before people went to the polls, clearly with absolute nefarious intent, but no one could trace the point of origin of it. So it ultimately just, made people wonder, is this true? Is it not true? And that tiny seed of doubt is actually probably the most dangerous part of AI, because as people go to the polls, anything that undermines the credibility of some of the leading candidates can have very dramatic effects.
Although Google, which owns YouTube, is now required to label all political videos created with AI, experts warn that this is not enough. They say such videos can still be highly dangerous.
We're getting to the point where content in general that is AI generated is so lifelike and convincing that what you do is you sow a seed of doubt with people to whether it's real or not, whether they can trust it or not. And that's a very, very dangerous thing, because once you get to that particular point, any politician who has real, actual negative content thrown at them by members of the media, whose job is to hold them to account, can simply claim that's not real, that's AI generated.
Today, technology has advanced even further. It's no longer just about creating fake content. AI can now do more than simply categorize people into groups. It can target individuals directly. It's the difference between regular phishing and spear phishing, a precise and highly focused attack. In politics, this means that propaganda, including misinformation, can now reach each voter in a highly personalized way.
Spear phishing with AI is using freely available data on the internet, which is brokered at the moment, which is like your personal information from the internet, everything we know about you, your search history, your purchasing history, your travel history, all that is available freely by brokers online already. Using AI to analyze that data set and then to find out and fine-tune exactly what are your specific triggers, and then to build a targeted campaign so that you see that content is definitely well within the scope of what's possible with AI.
However, measuring the true impact of AI-generated content on politics and elections remain extremely difficult. The influence of disinformation is also hard to quantify. Research shows that fake news rarely changes voters' opinion entirely. Instead, it tends to reinforce the beliefs they already hold.
My suspicion with many of these trends we're seeing, these early signals that we've seen in the recent elections that we did in our analysis, is that they're actually, all they're really going to do is just compound and exacerbate existing trends we're seeing, things such as an erosion of trust in governments and information sources, deepened political polarization, the kind of consolidation of echo chambers. All of these things, I think, deepfakes and AI threats are just enhancing.
Last year, the European Union passed the AI Act, requiring companies to take precautions when developing artificial intelligence. However, experts point out that limited involvement from the business sector has left key details unregulated. This raises an important question: can governments, businesses, and society reach a consensus on AI?
If you had asked me that question a year ago, I would have likely said that we need robust regulation to try and manage what are called the alignment issues with AI, which is trying to build AI that basically aligns with human values and ideally ethics. At this stage, given the bromance, widely referred to as the bromance between Elon Musk and Donald Trump, I'm leading into the idea that basically it is very likely that Trump will remove all regulation. In just the last week alone, at the AI safety conference that happened in Paris, the US and the UK, surprisingly, both opted to not sign an AI safety regulations kind of memorandum to say we're going to commit to these values. That is very, very worrying.
Election manipulation through artificial intelligence has been named one of the most significant global risks of 2025. This conclusion comes from experts at the World Economic Forum in Davos. According to them, AI-driven disinformation and political manipulation pose a threat on a par with climate change, wars and economic crisis, deepening divisions in society. Daurin Asagulov, New Time. In Germany's snap parliamentary elections, the Christian Democratic Union and the Christian Social Union bloc, led by Friedrich Merz, secured a predictable victory. The right-wing populist Alternative for Germany achieved its best-ever result, finishing in second place, while Chancellor Olaf Scholz's center-left party had its worst results, landing in third. Merz is now the leading candidate for Chancellor, but a final vote in the Bundestag will take place only after a governing coalition is formed. Merz has pledged to revive Germany's economy, tighten immigration policies, cut taxes and social spending, and strengthen support for Ukraine.
But now we're going to talk to each other, and the main thing is to create a government in Germany that is capable of acting as quickly as possible, with a good parliamentary majority. Because, dear friends, the world out there is not waiting for us, and it is not waiting for lengthy coalition talks and negotiations. We must now quickly regain our ability to act as that we can do the right thing at home, so that we can be present in Europe again, so that the world realizes that Germany is being governed reliably again.
On the eve of the election, Friedrich Merz reaffirmed that he will not cooperate with the far-right Alternative for Germany. The party's strong performance and the resulting shift in the Bundestag dynamics stand out as key takeaways from the elections. AfD advocates for strong immigration restrictions, Germany's exit from the EU and the lifting of sanctions on Russia. During televised debates, co-chair and chancellor candidate Alice Weidel predicted that Merz's government would be unstable, eventually collapse, and that AfD would rise to power in the coming years. The European Union has named 55-year-old Latvian diplomat Eduards Stiprais as its new special representative for Central Asia. He will assume office on March 1st for an initial 2-year term, succeeding Terry Hakala. According to an EU Council press release, Stiprais will focus on strengthening ties between the EU and Central Asia based on shared values and mutual cooperation. For more on this and other key developments in Central Asia, here's political analyst and expert Ozhet Shegirbayev. Ozhet, over to you.
Thank you very much, Daurin. I am ready to share my top 4 news topics from Central Asia this week, just in a moment. President of Kazakhstan, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, and newly appointed chairman of the Cabinet of Ministers, Chief of Staff of the President of Kyrgyzstan, Mr. Adilbek Kasymaliyev, discussed ways to strengthen the strategic partnership between Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. The President emphasized that one of the main tasks of both governments is to ensure the full implementation of all agreements reached at the highest level. In particular, it's important to explore new opportunities to increase trade volume, accelerate the launch of the industrial trade and logistics complex at Kazakhstan-Kyrgyzstan border, and create favorable conditions for transport and transit cooperation. During the meeting, special attention was given to joint investment projects and cooperation in the water and energy sector. The European Union has appointed a new special representative for Central Asia. The position has been given to 55-year-old Latvian diplomat Eduards Stiprais, who will begin his work on March 1st of this year. The European Council stated that the new EU Special Envoy's mission will be to strengthen relations between the European Union and Central Asian countries, based on shared values, promoting stability and cooperation in the region, as well as supporting democracy, the rule of law, good governance, and respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. Turkmenistan's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Rashid Miredov, has arrived in Kyrgyzstan for an official visit at February 25th. As part of the visit, he met with President Sadyr Japarov. The two sides discussed key issues of bilateral cooperation, including trade, economic, cultural and humanitarian ties, as well as collaboration in energy and transport logistics. President Japarov highlighted the significant potential for transport and logistics cooperation between the two countries and emphasized the positive growth in their trade and economic relations. Foreign Minister Rashid Miredov reaffirmed Turkmenistan's commitment to deepening cooperation, stating that the joint efforts will help strengthen the brotherly and neighborly relations between the two nations. The Parliament of Uzbekistan has ratified the Treaty on Allied Relations with Azerbaijan. The document has been sent to the Senate of Uzbekistan for approval. The treaty was signed by Presidents Mirziyoyev and Aliyev on August 23, 2024 in Tashkent, following the first meeting of the two countries' High Interstate Council. Early in May 2024, Kazakhstan ratified the Treaty on Alliance with Uzbekistan, while Kyrgyzstan ratified a similar treaty with Kazakhstan in December 2024. That's it from my part, Daurian, giving floor back to you.
Thank you very much, Rashid. Let's move on. Exciting news from the world of education. Cardiff University, a prestigious member of the UK's Russell Group, is set to establish a branch in Kazakhstan, bringing top-tier education closer to students in Central Asia. But what does this mean for local students and the future of education in the region? Stay tuned as we speak with Professor Wendy Larner from the Cardiff University to learn more about this expansion.
Professor Wendy Larner, thank you very much for joining us, and we welcome you in our studio. Can I first start, why did you decide to choose Kazakhstan as a destination for the branch of Cardiff University? Why exactly our country? Please.
Well, thank you so much for making me welcome, and it's lovely to be here in Astana. Cardiff University's new strategy is very clear about transnational education being part of our future. Minister Nurbek visited Cardiff last summer, and through that visit we learned about the ambitions of Kazakhstan to be a higher education centre for Central Asia. We were very excited by that, and we would love to be part of that. So the discussions began then, and we are now working towards having a branch of Cardiff University established here in Kazakhstan. This is very exciting for us.
And what opportunities do you see for Cardiff University to open its branch in Kazakh market, and how it will integrate with the local educational system, because it's quite diverse, because we have now over 30 foreign universities operating here, and also the local ones, how you are going to integrate into that?
So what we will do when we establish our branch campus here in Kazakhstan is offer Cardiff University degrees, in English. So students from Kazakhstan, from the region more generally, will no longer have to go all the way to UK for a UK degree and a UK education. So we think that will be very attractive to people. We're a Russell Group university, we're a research-intensive university, so of course we'd like to explore the other opportunities that would be associated with us being here in Kazakhstan. Continuing professional development for a whole raft of different professions, for example. Research partnerships with other universities, with other organisations.
It's something Cardiff
lots of opportunities here.
Yeah, and the studies will start in September of 2025. What exactly courses do you offer to our Kazakh students so far?
So we're going to begin with 2 foundation programs, one in STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering, maths, and one in social science and business subjects, so people can come in and do the foundation programs. And then the next year, 2026, we will begin with degree programs in areas that we know there's demand here in Kazakhstan. Information technology, computer science, business and the like. So we'll be working very closely with people here in Kazakhstan to understand what Kazakh students would like and which of our Cardiff degrees will work really well here in Kazakhstan.
One interesting moment as well, I saw that 70% of students nowadays use AI in their studies. How Cardiff University interfered this term, and do you have any strict rules against or in favor of using it?
Well, AI is absolutely part of our future. Again, the Kazakh government understand that well. The efforts to position Kazakhstan as a leader in this area is very admirable. We will want to be part of those discussions, ensuring that our students, not just our students in conventional disciplines, computer science, IT, but actually all of our students understand both the opportunities and the challenges of AI. It is absolutely part of our future, and it will be part of our thinking, again, as we develop our educational and indeed possibly those research opportunities.
So Cardiff University is more open to integrate into AI, right?
I think all universities are. I mean, AI is, as I said, AI is part of our future. We don't quite know yet how and in what ways. I think that's up to us all to work together to ensure that AI is a force for good. AI is an opportunity for us rather than a threat, and that's the work that we will do.
And the very last question, how do you see maybe Kazakhstan as an educational hub in Central Asia, and how Cardiff University can help in this?
Well, I think that's a hugely exciting opportunity, and again, it's one of the reasons why we are so keen to make Cardiff University in Kazakhstan a real success, not just for Kazakhstan but for the wider region. We know that international students are already coming to Kazakhstan for their education, and we would hope, again, working with our partners here to make sure that we have the right degrees that are attractive to students from the wider region. We absolutely want to be part of that, and we would hope that Cardiff University being here in Kazakhstan really helps put Kazakhstan on the map in Central Asia and indeed beyond.
Professor Vrindilana, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It is a great pleasure to be here, and I genuinely look forward to further conversations and Cardiff University being here in Kazakhstan.
The journalists of the TV and radio complex of the President of Kazakhstan have accomplished media training at the Media Institute of Al Jazeera, the biggest media organization of the Gulf region. Our colleagues, including reporters, editors and producers, dived into the topics of AI in news production. Al Jazeera, let me remind you, is the partner of Kazakh President's TV and radio complex. The media training is the result of cooperation agreement signed between two parties last year. The experts of the two countries will continue professional exchange with more participants involved.
So I work in a digital newsroom, and for me personally and for my team, it's very important to know what's going on in the world of technology and how other organizations are using tools, including AI tools, not only to make our jobs easier and quicker, but also to generate ideas, content ideas, and story follow-ups and everything else as well. So I think courses like these, again, especially AI courses, they're very, very useful because when you're sitting in the bubble, sometimes that is a newsroom, you're not aware of, because of the workload and pressure, you're not aware of what's going on outside. So when you step out of the newsroom, you go into this classroom environment and you start learning on these courses. You see what the world is doing, you see what other newsrooms are doing, you learn and you take whatever you can from that newsroom, from that classroom environment into your newsroom, implement it and make your jobs easier, quicker and more effective.
We didn't know about artificial intelligence at all, how to use it, where to use it, from where to start. And it was a great opportunity for us to learn not only the theoretical part, but how to use it, how to apply it in our work. In media, actually, you can use it in many ways.
That's it for today. All the main news about Kazakhstan and Central Asia you can find here. More special projects about our country you can also watch on Silkway TV channel. So stay tuned and see you next week.